We're going to get into what's happening in Europe, which, of course, is a subject I talk about every week because it's never ending with the cultural enrichment that we continue to enjoy off the back of the refugee crisis, as they call it, and the sanctuary cities that have been created throughout Europe in which we witness this cultural enrichment on a regular basis. I'm talking about Malmo in Sweden. I'm talking about Paris in France. We're going to tell you what the sanctuary cities in Europe have been experiencing later on in the show. But I want to set the table for this General Flynn discussion by going to this clip from Charles Krauthammer. Now, this was referenced by Sean Spicer in the official White House press conference, which ended just over an hour ago. And suddenly, Charles Krauthammer, who is a columnist and a Fox News contributor, started trending on Twitter, and it was a devastating new scandal that Sean Spicer had quoted Charles Krauthammer's defense of Trump in this Flynn situation because Trump had previously criticized Charles Krauthammer. And for about half an hour, that was the new huge scandal. Of course, Krauthammer's defense of Trump is more credible given that the two don't really like each other. So again, another complete non-controversy. But he set the table by pointing out that basically, this is a supposed cover-up, as the media is spinning it, of a crime that never took place. Let's go to this clip.
Let's get more on this first, what some are calling a major personnel crisis for the Trump administration and what it could mean for this president going forward. Syndicated columnist Charles Krauthammer joins me now from Washington. Charles, your thoughts as this is developing late this afternoon?
Well, what strikes me is how bizarre the whole story is. This is a cover-up without a crime. The idea that one should be all aghast because the incoming National Security Advisor spoke with the Russian ambassador and spoke about sanctions seems to me to be perfectly reasonable. The idea that it was illegal is preposterous. When I hear Nancy Pelosi get all upset about this and how in the grip of the Russians this shows us to be, this is an absurdity. But then you ask yourself, well, then why did he lie about it, even internally in talking to the vice president? And that shows a tremendous lapse of judgment and a sort of a lack of trustworthiness. So the president is faced with a very difficult problem. If he fires him, then it puts in question the president's own judgment, choosing him in the first place, having to fire him within 3 weeks. On the other hand, this is a guy who has been advising him, stuck with him, has appeared to have done the right thing in talking with the Russian ambassador and done a crazy thing in lying about it to Pence. And he's got to decide how it's going to look. Either way, he's going to be hurt. But if he is going to get rid of him, he'd better have somebody of stature waiting in the wings.
Okay, so that was Charles Krauthammer on Fox News last night, of course, a few hours before it was made official that Trump had accepted General Flynn's resignation. And again, he's making the point, this was a crime without a cover-up. During the transitional period, the National Security Advisor, General Flynn, spoke to a Russian ambassador and basically told him, please don't overreact to the Obama administration sanctions that were applied as a result of the baseless conspiracy theory, which was never proven, that Russia hacked the election. They didn't even talk about any details of sanctions, any measures that would take place under a Trump administration. And yet it's the reason that he didn't tell Mike Pence immediately that this conversation took place as to why he got in the hot water and what led to his resignation. Again, as Trump has pointed out, the bigger story here, the far bigger story from an objective perspective, is the fact that the question of who's leaking all this information. We have the NSA spying on the Trump administration, leaking these phone calls to try and sabotage Trump. It's Obama's acting Attorney General, Sally Yates, the one who was fired by Trump. She was responsible for leaking this, and it's all under the guise of, oh, we were just giving the White House a heads up. It was organized from the very beginning by the same deep state military-industrial complex, headed up by CIA head John Brennan, headed up by James Clapper. They're the ones behind this. They're the ones who leaked this to the media. They're trying to sabotage, undermine the Trump administration because, again, his election completely devastated them. On one level, it's just sheer butthurt. Again, these people, even months later, cannot fathom that their neocon, warmongering hag Hillary Clinton lost and basically made them all irrelevant. They're desperately seeking to regain relevancy. They're desperately seeking to infiltrate the Trump administration. Now they've succeeded in this coup d'etat and they've got rid of General Flynn. And it's being celebrated by the left. That's the other irony that's emerged out of all this. Elements of the CIA, the NSA, the military-industrial complex, not all of them because, of course, it's very politicized, but elements of the CIA, the NSA, the military-industrial complex, are openly sabotaging Trump. And the left is cheering them on while claiming they're the resistance. We see this hashtag all over Twitter. The resistance, join the resistance to Trump. This is incredible. We're fighting the establishment. No, you are the establishment. You're literally in bed with the deep state, with the military-industrial complex, with the Hillary neocon alliance, whose foreign policy created ISIS, whose foreign policy created the migrant crisis, whose foreign policy led to all those devastating terror attacks, led to ISIS literally feeding children into meat grinders and feeding them to their own parents, okay? That's what you're a part of. That's the side you're on. That's not the resistance. That's the deep state. That's the establishment. That's the military-industrial complex. But they're all out celebrating this because they think now that they've got Flynn to resign, now that they've forced it, and again, you go back to the golden rule. Never apologize. Never back down. This is mistake number 2 of the Trump administration so far. Again, mistake number 1 was the rollout of the travel ban, despite it being completely constitutional according to the US code. The mistake was in the rollout because it then gave them the momentum to temporarily overturn it because it wasn't implemented properly. That was Ryan Priebus's fault. The second mistake is kowtowing to this phony outrage based on this complete non-scandal and pressuring Mike Flynn to resign. And the left is all out cheering this. Again, they're part of the resistance while being literally in bed with the military-industrial complex. But here we go. Mike Cernovich points out in an article on dangerandplay.com what General Flynn's resignation means for America. Tonight, the fake news media launched a tactical nuke on America. The line has been broken. And the media now knows Trump is far more sensitive to bad press than he seemed to be during the campaign. He goes on to say, few understand the significance of tonight's events as they don't understand the war being fought. The war isn't Republicans versus Democrats, as they are two puppets of the same master. The war had always been against the media. Consider the source of the media's power. It's you. Again, if you don't kowtow to this phony outrage culture that they created, they have no power whatsoever. He goes on to say Trump's election showed that a candidate could win even with bad press. Through the power of social media, you could bypass the media, negating its power. And he goes on to show some of the tweets, which are in this article, from leftists, from George Soros bloggers, celebrating this resignation. Oliver Willis tweeted, Michael Flynn resignation shows Trump bleeds like everyone else, and now there's blood in the water. Rise up, hashtag resist, as they literally side with the deep state establishment. Again, that's a George Soros blogger. See how they're responding to this. David Fromm, top neocon, tweeted, tonight's resignation reminds both why patriots should cherish a free and independent press and why Donald Trump so fears and hates it. So they're all loving this. Listen to what Michael Moore said regarding Flynn's resignation. He's only first to go. One by one, they will drop until the so-called president, again, it's about planting that seed of illegitimacy, until the so-called president is told, you're fired. Up next, Miller and Bannon. That's Michael Moore. So again, they don't see this as an isolated resignation, as an isolated scandal. This is part of the momentum that they're trying to build to delegitimize, undermine, and sabotage the Trump administration, and they're doing it in concert with the military-industrial complex, with the politicized elements of the CIA and the NSA. And on this score, they won. They won this battle. They forced Flynn to resign, and we'll see what happens going forward. There's a big article up on Infowars.com called "The Real Reason General Flynn Was Forced to Resign." And again, you can look at the history of this as it relates to the supposed scandal. In 1984, again, if Democrats meet with Russian officials, it's perfectly fine. It's not a scandal. In 1984, Senator Ted Kennedy approached the Soviet government about aid in defeating Ronald Reagan's re-election. He offered them diplomatic and arms control concessions if they would help install Walter Mondale in the White House. Again, the media didn't react in frothing hysteria when that happened. The media didn't give a damn about the Logan Act for the past God knows how many decades, when U.S. politician after U.S. politician, all globalists, of course, violated the Logan Act by scheming, conspiring to set the consensus for policy when they attended Bilderberg meetings, a direct violation of the Logan Act. But General Flynn has a brief, cursory phone call with a Russian ambassador as the incoming national security advisor, and it's just absolute outrage. Again, didn't even talk about sanctions. Said, please don't overreact to what the Obama administration has done. Complete fake, contrived scandal yet again. We're under constant attack by the establishment, by the mainstream media, because of what we represent, which is a truly authentic news outlet that is not beholden to corporate interests, that is not beholden to Gulf state dictatorships like CNN, that is not beholden to George Soros funding like Black Lives Matter and a plethora of other leftist organizations. We don't rely on carrying the can for anyone. We're not funded by anyone aside from you getting the products. That's why we're completely independent. We're not perfect, but we just go where we think the truth is. And that formula has worked for so many years now, but only because of your support. And now we have at InfoWarsLife.com. The new fluoride-free toothpaste is Super Blue fluoride-free toothpaste. It's back in stock after being sold out for months at InfoWarsLife.com. Again, our best-selling new Super Blue fluoride-free toothpaste. Research across the board indicates that the health of your gums can contribute to the development of heart disease and heart attacks. Not only that, of course, we've seen the studies, study after study, showing that sodium fluoride reduces IQ. It leads to cancer. All these horrible impacts on the body. Why do you think they have a warning on fluoride toothpaste which tells children not to swallow an amount greater than the size of a pea? This is basically a toxic chemical. If by now you haven't got fluoride-free toothpaste, then you obviously haven't been listening to Infowars for the past 15 years, because we've been banging on about it from the very start. It's one of the premier ways in which you can regain independent control of your own health, and in doing so, support this network, support our growth, defend us against attacks from the mainstream media, the establishment, which is in bed with the deep state that's now trying to sabotage Donald Trump. So get the new Super Blue fluoride-free toothpaste, which is back in stock after being sold out for months at InfoWarsLife.com. Again, by this point, everybody must be using fluoride-free toothpaste, surely, so why not get it from us and support this network? And you can also take advantage of guaranteed delivery on sold-out products. You can also save money with auto ship at InfoWarsLife.com. When you select auto ship before checkout, you get 10% off your order and guaranteed delivery on out-of-stock products that are on your auto ship list. Plus, we give you free shipping on all orders above $50. So again, it saves the hassle of having to go back to the website every time to re-up your order, and you save money in the process. It's the auto ship option at InfoWarsLife.com. Now, getting back into this Flynn thing before we move on to what's happening in Europe. Of course, before the break, we were talking about the complete non-controversy, the non-scandal that this represents. Of course, it's been seized upon by the anti-Trump hysterical media that is in bed with the deep state, the military-industrial complex that is now trying to sabotage Donald Trump just 3 weeks after his inauguration. There's a big article up on Infowars.com. The real reason General Flynn was forced to resign. Let's read a segment, and this really encapsulates what I've been talking about. There is currently a scorched earth effort underway to isolate Trump by purging his administration of people who truly believe in Trump's vision of America first, replacing them with compromised Washington insiders and globalists. In other words, refilling the swamp. So Flynn is the first casualty of this so far. They hope that there will be others. Now they're talking about replacing him with David Petraeus, the Bilderberg member. You see the agenda here. This fifth column is comprised of politically partisan black hats within the CIA and the NSA who are still incensed that Hillary Clinton lost. That's right, months after her defeat, they still can't accept it. Note how the controversy first emerged in the Washington Post and was leaked by then acting Attorney General Sally Yates, James Clapper, and John Brennan under the guise of alerting the White House. It's just looking out for Trump there. As the conservative treehouse notes, the Washington Post is the official leak outlet for the political arm of the CIA, and the most politicized of all agents ever inside the CIA was John Brennan, a black hat extraordinaire. Brennan and his deep state cohorts are heading up a divide and conquer strategy to drive wedges between Trump cabinet members while inserting their own people, David Petraeus, to sabotage the administration. This is why leaks designed to undermine Trump keep happening. This is why Trump tweets about it. This is why Sean Spicer got up an hour and a half ago and made the point, why isn't the media asking who is leaking this information and why?
This has been adopted as of 2017 by the Department of Defense. All four branches of the military, Combat One. And guess who in the spring of 2017 has the exclusive right to sell this to everybody else but the military? Infowars.com. I want to commend Q and Patrick and the rest of our team. I want to commend Combat One for getting the big Pentagon deal. And I want to thank them for supporting us because they know we support America. We are the exclusive source of Combat One skin and muscle optimization, field foam, field spray, skin and muscle optimization, and broad spectrum hygiene tactical bath. Contains 8 pre-moistened cloths. Ladies and gentlemen, these are incredibly affordable, and they have patented proprietary systems. That's why it's been adopted by the Pentagon, by the Defense Department, system-wide. I'm going to go over some of the numbers, some of the proven statistics, and the claims that Combat One can make right now. Never before has the public been able to access this new Combat One military-grade hygiene technology used by special operations to maintain hygiene during survival situations. Studied for safety and effectiveness by St. John's Medical Research Institute, St. Jude's, and the American Journal of Infection Control. The technology behind Combat One wipes kills bad bacteria while leaving beneficial skin bacteria unharmed. That's the key buffer. The toxic wipes, the sanitizers kill everything, including your immune system. They lower your fertility. It's all admitted. Combat One is able to do this naturally by only targeting the bad stuff. And again, it's all patented. It's super secret. 12 years, Special Forces testing it. This is something every info warrior needs to order, needs to have in their home, needs to use in their daily lives, whether it's cleaning your guns or your own skin or when you're out camping. This is the game changer. The entire family of Combat One is available exclusively at InfoWarsStore.com.
Just coming back from the river where I was using one of our water filtration straws, a certain device we sell here at InfoWarsStore.com, and I had smacked my knuckle pretty hard the other day with my knife after cleaning one of the animals. So I want to use some Combat One foam, show you guys that we actually use it, how well it works. This wound's been open for about 5 days now. I just dipped it in and out of the river, so just to better safe than sorry. Once I let that soak in, I'll wrap it up, field dress, and nice and clean again.
And it certainly is coming to the rescue with Combat One, born in America, made in America, and now distributed by InfoWars to America.